Peace be with you. My name is Alan Kiesler, and we are continuing our class, which was started yesterday, called Meet Our Space Family. Excuse me. And we will continue today talking about the Apunians from the Alpha Centauri star system, the planet of Apu, and we will continue referring to Ricardo Gonzalez' book, Contact from Planet Apu. So yesterday we discussed how Ricardo had met a being. Actually, we talked more about how he, in his youth, had seen extraterrestrial craft, under UFOs, and his family members had also seen it. That was also reported in the press in Peru, where he is from, and he was in telepathic contact with these beings. And in fact, the gentleman who was the person who was contacting him telepathically, he later learned his name was Antarel. So Antarel was about, what would we say, 2.5 meters tall. All of the men are usually over 2 meters tall. They look exactly like human beings, but they're a little taller. And so what we're going to discuss today is a little more about the Apunians, because Ricardo Gonzalez was not the first person in Peru to be contacted by Antarel and the other Apunians. So we're going to learn a little about those other space brothers and sisters today. So in the 1950s, just like my first contact with extraterrestrials was in 1956, so all over the world in the 1950s, some of the most famous contactees are from Italy, others in the United States, others all over the world. Human beings were being contacted by extraterrestrials from various places, because at that time it was kind of critical, because we had acquired atomic energy. Atomic bombs had been discovered and used. So this was a great concern to many extraterrestrial races. So they began coming to help us understand that this is not a very good thing. Actually, it's a very dangerous thing we had done. So in the same period of time, in the 1950s, many UFOs were seen, and many people met actually extraterrestrials from different places, from different planets in our solar system, and from planets in other star systems also. So in Peru and in Bolivia and in other South American countries, there was a lot of UFO activity. And it became so common that in those countries, it's pretty, I think about half the population actually has seen UFOs, at least this is what reports are. So the most famous of the times, the most famous of the people who were contacted by the Apunians during that time period was a man named Vlado Kapetanovich, who worked in an hydroelectric plant in central Hualanaca region of Peru. So Ricardo writes that Vlado's experience was very similar to Ricardo's. This gentleman, he was an engineer who worked in the hydroelectric plant there. He was from Yugoslavia, which was then called Montenegro, in 1918. And he later, after the Second World War, he had come to Peru to work as a technician there. And on March 10th, Thursday, 1960, there was a power outage in their plant a little after midnight. So Vlado Kapetanovich was in charge of the plant at that time. So he went to discover what was the problem. And the plant was located in a tunnel under 374 feet of rugged mountain terrain underground. So there were emergency generators outside the tunnel. So Kapetanovich went out to turn on the emergency generators, and when he got outside, while he was turning on those generators, he was surprised to see a bright light that lit up the countryside. And it was so bright it was just like daylight. And then he saw that the light was coming from a flying saucer, a disc-shaped flying saucer, which was not too far away, about 1,300 feet away, and that's 400 meters or so. So he said that it was just, like half a meter, just, 1.5 feet above the ground, but it was not touching the ground. It was floating, appeared to be weightless, and was supported by light beams. And then the crew of that craft, who looked very human, came and approached him and spoke to him in his own language, Yugoslavian. And actually, he was not the first one. Vlado was not the first one. Other people who also worked in the same hydroelectric plant had been contacted by the same extraterrestrials earlier, and they had told him about it. So they had told him not to worry, that these people are very friendly, and so he wasn't afraid. And they actually had told him that these people, extraterrestrials, are healing people. They're helping people who are sick or injured and healing them. So this was quite astonishing. Although he wasn't afraid, Vlado couldn't believe that they were actually extraterrestrials, even though they would tell him even the name of their planet later. But he thought that this, because he had been in World War II, he had been in under Nazi German control, so he was afraid that maybe these beings, who obviously had some advanced technology, as the Nazis had also developed very advanced technologies, he was afraid that maybe they were actually some secret mission of post-war Nazi Germany. Anyway, the people were tall, they looked just like human beings, they were blonde, and he couldn't believe that they were actually from some other planet. He was afraid, and he was afraid that not because they were extraterrestrials, because he didn't believe they were, but he was afraid they might be some human beings on some secret mission with some secret technology. So he reported this to the police, to the local police station. Anyway, but gradually, because they were in contact with him telepathically, they convinced him that no, we are really extraterrestrials, so he believed it. And when they met him, they told him, because they understood, because they can read our minds usually, these advanced extraterrestrials, they knew what he was thinking, so they told him, no, we're not Germans, even though they looked like tall Germans. And he learned from them that they actually were not responsible directly. They didn't intentionally cause the power outage, but the presence of their craft had somehow caused the power outage because they use high electromagnetic energies to run their craft. So Ricardo said that he met Vlado before before that gentleman had passed away in Peru in 2005, and he was a very strong, friendly, humble man, and was very happy to have spoken to the extraterrestrials. And he actually wrote several books under the pen name Vitko Novi. And there are a number of books, including, here are the names of two of them. One is Apu, A World Without Money. We don't really need money. This whole monetary system is a way that the banksters trick us and steal our money from us by printing money and getting us convinced that we should use the money they print. So Apu, A World Without Money, was one of the books that Vlado, based on Vlado's experiences. And another one is called 170 Hours with Extraterrestrials. So there's a lot of information available about the Apunians from Vlado's books also. So, but he was also not the first person in Peru to be contacted by the Apunians. For a long time, in fact, maybe for thousands of years, they had been in touch with people in that area. And Vlado had actually reported that these Apunians were contacting people in that region, and they knew in advance, because they have some sort of technology, which is not 100% perfect, but they can see into the future and get some approximate ideas about what's going to happen. So they knew that there was going to be a very serious earthquake in that region, in the village or town of Yungay. And in advance, they were warning people about it. So Kapetanovich had received this warning from the Apunians, and he tried to tell people about it, and he even reported it to the authorities, but they wouldn't believe him. They wouldn't believe that extraterrestrials had come and warned them that there's going to be an earthquake in a certain area. So even though they couldn't predict the exact day and time that that earthquake would happen, they did give this warning, and unfortunately people wouldn't believe Vlado Kapetanovich. And so finally, when the earthquake came, the entire village of Yungay was buried under an avalanche, and like 20,000 people, everyone in the village. I'm trying to see just the exact figures here. Anyway, not only that village, but nearby villages also were buried by the avalanche which resulted from the earthquake, and about 80,000 people, almost 1 lakh of people, were estimated to have died. And injured was 143,331 people. So the number affected was more than 3 million people. That is, their homes were damaged. So it was a huge earthquake, which had been accurately, although not to the exact time, they couldn't do that, but accurately forecast, predicted by the Apunians. So in this way, there were many, many evidences. I'm just going to show you some pictures of Yungay from Ricardo's book. So here is the town of Yungay before the earthquake, and here it is afterwards. It was totally destroyed. And here is the aerial photograph of the town before the earthquake and the avalanche, and here it is afterwards, completely gone. And I guess there's one other thing that I should point out, and that is that there were photographs. Many people had seen these UFOs at that time. Here is a series of photographs that were taken before the earthquake, when the UFOs were coming an intense wave, Ricardo writes. Many people saw UFOs. The Apunians were obviously trying to get people's attention to warn them. And here are some photographs taken in 1967. That's 3 years before the earthquake, uh, which were very clear, showing flying saucers. These were there above the town of Yungay, where the earthquake was centered, which later happened. So there are many other incidents and persons who were in contact with the Apunians in Peru. I just mentioned the name of one of them, Donato Cervantes, who became quite famous because he was in contact with the not the Apunians, but with another group of extraterrestrials who were in contact with him when he had an accident and a serious wound in a car accident. So he made a tourniquet. He tied up his arm to prevent the blood from coming out, and it took him many hours of driving to get back to his home, and then he went to the hospital, and his arm was injured to the point where the doctors could no longer save it. It developed gangrene, and so the doctors said they would have to amputate his arm. So it was scheduled for June 17th, 1983, in the central hospital of the town of Huaraz, and then on June 16th, the day before the amputation, the extraterrestrials telepathically asked Donato to stay in a hotel and to wait there to be healed. So he followed their instruction, and that night their spaceship appeared, and it shone an intense light on his arm, concentrated on his arm, and immediately he felt no more discomfort and his arm was healed. So when he went to the hospital the next day, the doctors were amazed, but the arm was completely healed, and this actually was reported in the press. I'm sure, we're not sure maybe. Oh yes. These people who performed some sort of high technology surgery on his arm and healed him, they may have been Apunians, because much later, in 2013, just 5 years ago, Donato Cervantes was 71 years old, and he began to connect with the people, the same extraterrestrials again, and they said that they were from the stars, from a celestial galaxy, and it turned out it was the X9 galaxy, which was the native home of the extraterrestrials from Apu. So in other words, they had somehow lost their home in some other galaxy, and they had come to our galaxy and settled in very near Earth in the Alpha Centauri star system. So they were the same people, but they had come from they identified themselves as coming from a different galaxy before coming to our galaxy and settling near, only 4.2 or 4.3 light years from here. All right, and then just I'll mention just a few others because Ricardo talks about other people. There were two brothers in Peru, Carlos and Sixto Paz Wells, who also came in contact with the Apunians in 1974. That's 14 years after Vlado Kapetanovich case. And there were a number of Apunians, in addition to Antarel, who was the one who contacted Ricardo Gonzalez. There was Sordaz, Godard, and others who were in communication with human beings. So we should be aware that it's not unusual. There are thousands, tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of Earth people, maybe millions, who have been in contact with extraterrestrials. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this show, which I'm going to continue daily as long as I can, as long as I don't get too busy and don't get called to work too much. All right, so I'm going to go see if any questions or comments. Omaira Anwar says, Salam alaikum, sir. Wa alaikum salam, ji. And Muhammad Anas also saying, Assalamu alaikum. Mahabhatti also. Wa alaikum salam to all of you. And Mujahid Araz also says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuhu, Babaji. Wa alaikum salam, Mujahida. Muhammad Ibrahim Niazi says, what are your views about Imam al-Mahdi? Well, clearly there are many prophecies about the coming of Imam al-Mahdi. I don't know when or exactly what he will do, but I do know that destiny can be changed, and I do know that the war that people usually think the Imam Mahdi is going to participate in, that war evidently has been cancelled. So the whole program of Imam Mahdi has been altered by God's decision. So I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe that that war was the one that was going to take place in 1999. And as I have explained many times, in 1998 I was taken off planet and attended a conference, you could say, where a number of different extraterrestrial groups were meeting and were discussing our planet and the war that was the nuclear war, evidently, that was going to happen at that time in 1999. They were discussing whether to prevent it or not, and the decision was made, not by them actually, but by a representative of Allah who appeared in the meeting, just came floating down from the space. He announced mercy, that there would be mercy upon earth and that war would be prevented. So because of that, something different may have happened with Imam Mahdi. In fact, anyway, it's a long topic. I won't go into all of that, but certainly we accept that Imam Mahdi must come or must have come, maybe has already come, but the whole picture that people thought that there would be a huge war and everybody would find out about Imam Mahdi, that may be a misunderstanding on our part, or may have been a change of plans made by Allah. All right, we're getting more salams. Ahmed Afridi, sir, आज तो बहुत style में है. Allah. So, we are getting more hellos. क्या हाल है sir? Muhammad Arwais, I'm fine, thank you. शुक्रिया, अल्लाह का शुक्र है. मैं ठीक हूँ, थोड़े से खांसी है, but उम्मीद है वो ठीक हो जाएगा. Zishan Shani, hello sir. Today Nawaz Sharif has been freed from jail. Yes, I just read about that. Demina Malik, you will come daily now. Just yesterday or day before yesterday, my good wife and spiritual guide advised me to go ahead and do a program the next day. So I did do one yesterday without any plan of what it would be about, just a live chat. And but in that chat, it was suggested I should do a show, because I was talking about extraterrestrials, that I should do one about extraterrestrials daily. So I decided, okay, I will. It's the same time, 7 o'clock a.m. here in California, which happens to be 7 p.m. in Pakistan. So unless I get called to work, I will continue this show at the same time every morning. Monday through Friday, I will do it in English, talking about extraterrestrials. And on Saturday and Sunday, where I won't ever be called to work, I will do it in Urdu. And it may be on some other topics. I don't know what it will be. But I will answer questions in Urdu then. All right. Salman FB page. Please document your conversations we miss at time. My conversations are all recorded These Facebook live chats are available on my Facebook page, so you can look down below and you can find them. All the conversations are documented there. All right. Umera Anwar says, Sir, extraterrestrials say हम खुद contact कर सकते हैं. So can we contact extraterrestrials? Yes, we can. Of course, we can't force them, but when they want to contact us, they will. And when we are ready, they will come. And usually they begin by contacting us in dreams, just to get us ready for external contact. And there are programs designed to facilitate. The most famous one, I think, is Stephen Greer's ambassador program, it's called. That is disclosureproject.org. disclosureproject.org. So you can look there for the program that he has developed to approach extraterrestrials, to invite them to come. So we can in that way. But the most important thing, as far as I understand, is to prepare ourselves. And the best way to do that is by meditation, by praying very sincerely and meditating to prepare our consciousness, to elevate our consciousness, to purify our hearts, and then we will get good extraterrestrials. Otherwise, there are some evil ones too who might come, so be careful. Be careful that your heart is sincere and pure, and then you will attract good extraterrestrials. Okay. उमेर अनवर आगास क्या हम उनसे खुद से कांटेक्ट नहीं कर सकते? We can't force them. The question is, can't we ourselves contact them? We can try, and we can prepare, and there are, as I mentioned, the programs, this Stephen Greer's ambassador program at disclosureproject.org. He does try this, and it has been successful, a number of people. And Ricardo Gonzalez, whose book we are reading, he has also received messages from Antarel and the Apunians that they will appear at a certain time. And there have been many people, including Dr. Michael Sala, who is my friend and one of the leading researchers in exopolitics and extraterrestrial contact. He has also met them at those times. And Paulo Harris, who is another leading journalist and extraterrestrial researcher and contactee, she also in the same way. So we can try, but really it's up to them. They're more advanced than we are technologically and probably spiritually too. So we can prepare ourselves and hope that they will come, and we can make efforts, but I don't know any way that we can force them to come to us or we can go to them. I don't know. Muhammad Ibrahim Niazi, I think the change people expect from Imran Khan will be brought by the Imam, because corrupt politicians are poised to outmaneuver Imran Khan in the political arena. Nawaz Sharif has been freed by the court. Anyway, I've always said exactly this point, that it's a great fight ahead, and it's not going to be easy for Imran Khan to get rid of the corrupt politicians, but it's a struggle that we will have to all face, and it will eventually happen. I personally have no doubt, but it may take a longer time. It all depends on us. We have the freedom to choose to pray and meditate and be kind to others and love ourselves too, be forgiving. And this sort of mentality, elevated, loving mentality, is what will not only bring extraterrestrials to us and bring help from them to us, because they can't help without, or they don't anyway, they don't help without being invited. That's their principle. The good extraterrestrials follow that principle. The evil ones don't. They may come when you don't want them, but the good ones don't come unless you ask them to. So with their help, I'm convinced, it's already happening. With their help, the corrupt politicians will be removed, but it's going to be a big struggle. So let's all participate in that struggle by purifying our hearts, by being kind and loving and meditating. And I personally have no doubt, because I've been told that in Pakistan the corrupt politicians will be gotten rid of and pure Islam will be reestablished. That means loving kindness and truth and justice, and from Pakistan will spread all over the world, inshallah. So, but you're right, Imran Khan has a big struggle ahead of him. Umaira Anwar, what meditation you'll recommend? I always recommend zikr. Other people, including my own spiritual guide and teacher, my good wife, Carol, she mostly practices silent meditation or breathing meditation. So I don't, say there's only one. There are many, many different types of meditation that are good. You can practice them. I myself recommend zikr, whether it's names of God in Arabic or in whatever language you have and you like and you're familiar with and you are comfortable with. That's what I recommend. All right. Shehryar Khan, excluding Earth, do you think peoples exists on some other planet? Yes, we are reading about extraterrestrials who have met Ricardo Gonzalez from the planet Apu, which is in the Alpha Centauri star system, which is only a little over 4 light years away from here. And I myself have met extraterrestrials since the age of 9. So yes, I don't think they exist. I know they exist. I've met them and spoken with them, and thousands and hundreds of thousands of people have. Maybe millions, I don't know how many, but it has been suppressed by the media. The international mass media has suppressed this knowledge. There are very powerful forces that don't want us to find out about life on other planets. And that's why. Okay, I think that's enough. Thank you all very, very much. And we will look forward to having a further discussion tomorrow about the Apunians and about extraterrestrial life and how they are coming here to Earth and meeting us and giving us help, actually. They're helping us and giving us a message. So thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.